Hello beautiful people and welcome to my channel. Today we're going over a few seated yoga poses which is commonly incorporated into different flows, but it's not necessarily easily accessible to everybody. So we're going to offer a few variations, starting with easy pose, which in its name is exactly what it's meant to be, but is not necessarily accessible to everybody, especially if you have very tight hips or even knee problems. If you have long femur bones, you might struggle going into this position. So here's a few options for you to use. You can either elevate the hips by sitting on a block, opening up the legs slightly by placing one leg in front of the other instead of having them crossed over. This can help by allowing the knees to fall forward, making for an easier sit. You have the option to use two blocks instead of one because sometimes it's a little uncomfortable just using one block. You just place the two blocks together side by side, and this should help you feel a little bit more comfortable. If not, feel free to use a bolster or a firm cushion. If you find that your knees aren't falling forward and you're still a little uncomfortable and you don't like your knees to hover, try placing a block under each knee, and this should help you feel a little bit more stable. The aim here is to always have the spine nice and long. Next up, we have staff pose, which requires you to have your legs extended out in front of you, toes touching, having you seated nice and tall, spine is long, chest is up, head is in neutral position. This, however, might not be comfortable once again if you do have tight hips, especially if you have tight hamstrings. You might not be able to comfortably extend your legs out in front of you. So an easy solution here is just to place a bend in your knees. You do have the option of using a bolster or cushion underneath your knees for a more comfortable sit. You can also elevate your hips by placing a block underneath your hips to raise it and allow you to sit a little bit more comfortably, to take the strain off your lower back. Using something firm like blocks or even a bolster is preferred to help and keep that long spine, because if you're seated on something softer, you might have some trouble trying to keep that neutral spine. Next up, we have what they called a thunderbolt pose, which is basically a kneeling position. This might be a little difficult if the tops of your feet is very tight. So you might not be able to have your foot completely flat on the ground. So go ahead and tuck your toes under. Another option is to roll up a small towel and place it in the crease where the foot meets the leg. See if this helps. However, if you're still experiencing discomfort, rather go ahead and skip this position because you want to have a stretch. But as soon as you are in discomfort or any pain, then there's always the option to skip a pose. Next up, we have butterfly pose or cobbler's pose, which is basically bringing the soles of your feet together as close to your body as you can, allowing the knees to fall open. Some people with good flexibility are able to have their legs actually touch the floor, but if you have tight hips, your legs won't necessarily go all the way, and that's okay. You can use some blocks underneath your legs if you don't like the fact that your knees are hovering. For more comfort, you can even use some pillows or even rolled up blankets on either side. If you have some discomfort in your knee, shift the feet a little forward away from the center of the body. From here, we can move directly into half butterfly by just extending one leg out towards the side, keeping your block, blanket or pillow underneath that bent leg for support. If the hamstring of the extended leg is a little tight, you might not be able to extend it all the way. So feel free to place a block underneath that extended leg as well. Moving on to our last pose, which is wide-legged straddle. So you extend both legs out towards the side as far as you're able. If you have tight hamstrings, this might be a little difficult for you. So once again, you can use either a block underneath your knee, a rolled blanket, or pillows for comfort, whichever makes you feel comfortable, as long as you are able to get a good stretch without causing any pain. Using props is extremely beneficial to your practice, whether you're a beginner, completely new to yoga, or you've been doing yoga for a while, because sometimes our body is just tired and won't necessarily go into the positions that we wanted to go, so we need a little assistance at times. I hope this video has been helpful. Let me know down below if you have any questions. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope that you have a beautiful day further.